Hi, we're going to do a very quick basic area and perimeter tutorial. I'm going to go this pretty quickly because hopefully most of this you know already. So if we've got, this is supposed to be a rectangle. Ideally I should have a right angle in one of the corners for you to know that. It's 3 units by 4 units, which means the perimeter is 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 because those sides are parallel and equal. So the perimeter for this is simply 3 plus 3, which is 6, and 4 plus 4, which is 8. So that's 14 units. So perimeter is just the distance around the circle's circumference. But that's all I'm going to say about perimeter. It's the distance around. If you know all the sides, you add all the sides up. This is 3 by 4. We can count up all the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or one of the reasons we learn how to multiply is so that we can say, oh, this is what we call the base here and the height here. Base times height is 4 times 3, or 12. And in this case, it is in 12 square units. Sorry, I can't see that, 12 square units. You sometimes will see this as unit squared, or if it's inches, it'd be inches squared or something like that. There's lots of ways you can write it. Okay, you should know rectangles already. What you should also know already, but maybe don't, is half a rectangle, which is a triangle. So same kind of idea. If I have a triangle, and we're gonna make it a right angle there, so it's really half of a rectangle, and we make it 5 along the base, and the height is 3. Well, if it was a rectangle, it'd be 3 by 5 or 15, but this is half of that, so it's going to be 3 times 5. That would be the whole rectangle if I did the whole thing, but it's half of that, so it's 1/2. 3 times 5, or half of 15, or 7.5 square units, whatever I'm measuring in. Okay. If I knew this side, 3 plus 5 plus whatever that is, it'd be 4 actually because it's a Pythagorean triple, but let's not worry about that. Whatever that number is, 3 plus 5 plus that is, that's your perimeter. Enough about perimeter. Even if the triangle is something like this, where it's not a right triangle, if you can establish whatever the base is, maybe the base down here is 5, and the height here is right here, and there's a right angle there, so we know what's the height. It's the distance from the ground up to the top point there, the vertex. If that's 3, that formula still works. As long as we know what the base is and we have a perpendicular that shows us our height, that formula still works, because it is really still half of a rectangle that is 3 by 5. Okay, so no matter what it is, the formula works as long as you know you're talking about the height and a base perpendicular to that height. Finally, a trapezoid, which can be thought of as a rectangle with 1 or 2 triangles slapped on it. A trapezoid typically looks like this. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, but it always has 2 parallel sides, which you'll either be told it's a trapezoid or they'll be marked with little parallel side things there. And then it's got 2 other sides which may or may not be congruent, the same size. In fact, I'm going to turn this into a little rectangle in the middle and 2 triangles on the side, because this is one way you can figure out the area. If I knew that the distance up at the top here was 5, and this altitude here was 4, well, that inside area is 5 times 4. That inside area is 20 square units. Okay, and I can see that 20 square units. And then what about the triangles on the end? Well, let's say I somehow figured out that this little part right there was 2. Well, that little part is 2 times 4, but half of it, because that's our formula, 1/2, 2 times 4, is going to be 4 square units. I'm not going to write the units on there. And let's say maybe this one, so this is still 5 here, and then from here to there, let's say it's 3. Okay, so that area right there would be 3 times 4 divided by 2, so that would be 6 square units. So one way to get the area of this thing is to add up that triangle of 4 and that rectangle of 20 and that triangle of 6, if you happen to know what all these pieces are. And that is a fine way to do it, and you often can figure out those pieces. So that is 30 square units. The other way you can do this is there is a formula for a trapezoid. It's not so critical that you remember it because you can always do this method, but the formula is 1/2 base 1 plus base 2, those are the two parallel sides, times the height. And this works because if we do 1/2, my marker's falling apart. Let's say the top one is B1, it's 5. The bottom base is 2 plus 5 plus 3, that's 10. And the height is 4 of this whole thing. So 1/2 of 4 is 2, and 2 times 15 is 30. Same number. Oh, kind of went off the screen there. Okay, so that is all the basic idea. For this one, if you wanted the perimeter, you could add up the 10 on the bottom and the 5 on the top, and you'd have to figure out what the other two sides are, which is a different lesson. Ciao.